Hello and welcome back to our channel Forensic Science Public Desk India, and now we are going to learn about sex determination from bones as part of forensic anthropology, and this is lecture number 20 of forensic medicine UGC NET Forensic Science. And let's proceed into the topic. Introduction. Recognizable sex differences appear after puberty except in pelvis. That means we don't need to wait until the puberty if we want to identify the sex. We can use pelvis. In pelvis, sex features are independent of each other and one may even contradict the other in same pelvis. So there is a little controversy. That means there is a little differences and similarities in pelvis, though if it is not in the puberty. Then coming to the sex of long bones can be determined on the basis of medullary index of tibia, humerus, ulna and radius. So these are the things which we have to consider medullary index, and sternum is least useful but it can be considered in some cases. Then coming to accuracy in sexing, considering the various skeletal remains, if we get entire skeleton then 100% determination of sex can be done. That is very obvious. If we are getting only skull and pelvis, at that time we can determine only 98%. Then pelvis alone is there, that is the best bone and single bone to identify it, but it is not a single bone, it's a combination of the bones. Pelvis alone can be contributing 95%, then skull alone will be contributing 92%, long bones will be contributing 80 to 85%, and the long bones plus pelvis will be contributing 98%. 98% here and here. If you are getting pelvis and skull, it's good. Long bones and pelvis, good combination of this are good. Endoskeleton is much better. Then let's proceed further. And here we can see the male and female skeletons, complete skeletons is there. So what are the basic differences between these two? The traits are general size, so it is bigger and stouter. So we can see this is very bigger and this is very shorter, that means shorter and slender. And the long bones are having muscular ridges, depressions, processes are more prominent. So wherever there are some kind of processes or projections which we can see as like in the mandible or in the styloid process, mastoid process, or any other bones which are protruding outside, more can be seen, more robust it can be seen in the males, and it is less robust and less depressions can be seen in the females. Coming to the shaft of long bones are relatively rough. So this is the long bone of femur. If you see the shaft of the bone, it is very rough and it is relatively smooth in the females. So relatively smooth here. And next is articular surfaces. So articular surfaces are somewhere in the joints it will be seen. So the surface of the joints are called as articular surfaces, relatively large in the males. So here we can see this is becoming large and this is a small, surfaces are small in the females. Metacarpal bones are longer and broader. So metacarpal bones will be there for the fingers, and these are long and broader for the males. So here we can see the clear image of this, and less it can be seen as less and narrower in the females. The complete weight of the bones in males is 4.5 kgs and in females it is 2.75 kgs. So these are the ideal differences between the male and females. What are the important bones we have already studied? So skull we have to go and learn, and pelvis is important, we have to learn. Rib cage is one of the important thing which is contributing for sex determination. Rib cage in general appearance for males it is in the V shape. Okay, V shape body will be formed because of rib cage being in such shape. You cannot see V here, but the body external appearance will be given as V shape because of the rib cage which is there inside in such shape. And for females it is A shape, that means it will be forming like a bracket here which will be giving enough space in the womb, for the womb part to give the space for the child when it is in the stage of pregnancy and all. This particular space will be given for the baby. And the inlet of the pelvis will also be larger and circular for females to pass the child from this particular inlet. So this is how the modification of sex, and according to its requirement it is designed, the skeleton is designed in such way on this particular basis. On this particular logic we are going to learn the sex determination. Only this is the logic. Other things, remembering the bones, remembering their terminology, etc., all will be the memorization. We have to remember that at any cost. Let's proceed further. Introduction to skull structure. So basically first we'll complete this one. The skull structure is having parietal bone from either sides. The side bone which is there here and here, if you are seeing on the here in the posterior view, this both are the parietal bones which are joined by sagittal suture, and this is the temporal bone. Okay, and this is the temporal bone, and this is the lumbar suture. Sutures we will study in the age determination, that's the secondary part. And the temporal bone, again here it is present either sides. On both sides we are having the temporal bone. And sphenoid bone is, this is the sphenoid bone. Okay, this one is the sphenoid bone. Till interior part we can see the sphenoid bone passing from exterior part to interior part. Then nasal bone can be seen here joining the glabella. This is the glabella region. Okay, remember that. Zygoma process from behind to inside, to the under the eye. So this particular is called zygomatic process or zygoma. Inferior nasal coca, it is inside. Maxilla, the upper part of the mouth, and the lower part of the jaw of mouth is called the mandible. And basilar view, if you see, this is the occipital bone. As occipital bone, it is here. And sphenoid, as I already said you, from behind to interior of the eye we can see the sphenoid bone. This is palatine, this is the region of palatine. This is a maxilla complete. Okay, this is a zygomatic arch again. Okay, so this is the basilar suture which is present here, and this is a palatine suture. Okay, this is the palatine region. So maxillary suture, etc., these are the various parts and the terminology which we have to remember. And let's proceed further and determine the sex based on the skull. The comparison of male and female skulls. So here is the male skull and here is the female skull. Basic differences. First let's proceed with the frontal bone. So this is the frontal bone. The frontal bone in males is slopy and it is in this particular structure, and for females it is a vertical, it is passing through this and it is becoming vertical, and the glabella here is prominent. So this is the glabella, here you can see it is prominent and then getting depressed again, raising it for the distinct nasation. For females it's not like that, it's a straight vertical giving directly to the nasation. Then we can see the supraorbital ridge. Supraorbital ridge is soft and prominent in males. These are supraorbital ridges on the upper side. Okay, for females it is not soft or not prominent, it is like sharp enough and it is giving immediate curvature. So immediate curvature can be seen here, round curvature. Okay, this is a basic difference. And the shape of the eye inlet, so this here we can see this is rectangular in shape, this is also rectangular in shape. Okay, so here it is round shaped. So remember this, here it is round shaped, sorry, here it is round shaped. And then coming to the zygomatic process. Zygomatic process is very prominent in males. So the zygomatic process, cheekbone can be seen prominently, but here the cheekbone is not prominent, it is less prominent. So here also on the sideways you can see it is the shape, and here it is the shape. Okay, so then we are having the mandible for difference. So mandible is flat mandible in males. So this is flat and there is no flat mandible, it is a correct shape. So the chin is square in shape. If we touch the chin of the males, it is flat and it is a round shape for females. Okay, remember this point, important. And the next is the angle. Less obtuse angle can be seen for the males and more obtuse angle can be seen for the females. Then coming to the processes which will be seen, so we'll learn this again in the another images as well. The prominent occiput bone can be seen for the males. So this is the prominent occiput bone, and it is a round occiput bone for the females. Continuing like that, we can see a mastered process which is not prominent in females, but it is more prominent in males. Remember this point, very important. And styloid process is also visible in males, it's not visible in the females. So few other points we have to discuss. So coming to the comparison of male and female skulls in the way sideways. Suprameatial crust, very important. This is the suprameatial crust which will be present only in males. It's not there in the females. Master process is very less prominent. This is not very prominent. Here it is very prominent in nature. And the angle is flared, already we have seen. Angle is flared means this is the shape. So if you are viewing it from the frontal side, it will be like this, okay, which will be giving on the sideways this thing. For females it will be something like this, round shape chin, okay. This is what the difference between male and female mandible. Then coming to the palate, so the palate is large and U-shaped for the males. So this is the palate region, okay. This is maxilla, this part is maxilla, okay. This is the palate region, this particular upper region is called as palate region. This is U-shaped and larger in size for the males. It is not U-shaped in females. It is having very small parabolic shape. So this is a parabolic shape and it is small enough. Very basically you are able to see. And a very important part are occipital bone. So this is a strong neutral lines can be seen for the males. So much difference is seen observed here, that is called as strong neutral lines for the occipital bone. For females it is not observed, it is clear, it is soft and very less lines are seen, okay. And the external occipital protuberance can be seen. So this V shape which you are seeing here, it can be not observed in the female, it is soft enough. So slight neutral lines can be seen in the female. So again we are having foramen magnum. So this is the hole from where the spinal cord will pass. This is the basilar view of the skull, okay. So the foramen magnum will be relatively large and long in the males. So this one is the large, so this one is large and this one is small, okay. So these are the basic differences between male and female skulls, and let's proceed further and learn differences. Introduction to pelvis structure. So before we proceed into further topic determination of sex by pelvis, we have to learn some basic terminologies which are required to be memorized. So pelvis bone is basically divided into three parts. So this is the first part. So here we can see the division, you see this division, very important, T-shaped division is given. So which is dividing it into three parts. So this is the parts, okay. This is called as ilium. The second part is the ischium, okay, this one is the ischium part, and this is the pubis part. All together they are giving space for giving allotment for the bone femur at the spot called acetabulum, okay. This is the acetabulum in the larger image. The same image is enlarged here, and we will learn various parts, and we will see on the either side, on the reverse side of this particular bone. So this is this one, this is internal and this is external, okay. External is the thing which we are able to see, okay. So iliac crust is the first part. So this particular frame which you are able to see, this is the iliac crust. So the frame which is built on is called as iliac pillar, okay. On either side of that we will be able to see the iliac crust as well, and it is fossa. So on the back side you are having the pillar, on front side you are having the fossa, that means a depression, and this is a projection, okay. Then we are having iliac spine. So this region is iliac spine, all this till here is iliac spine, okay. Here the iliac spine can be seen in this particular place, this is iliac spine. Iliac spine can be classified into posterior, if this one is the posterior and this one is the anterior, and posterior, okay. On the top side you will be seeing the superior, and the lower side you will be seeing the inferior. So this one is superior and this one is the inferior. So now we are having posterior superior iliac spine, posterior inferior iliac spine, anterior superior iliac spine, and anterior inferior iliac spine. These are the parts. Okay. Next we are having sciatic notches. So this one is a greater sciatic notch, and ischial spine will be dividing the greater and lesser sciatic notch. So two sciatic notches are there, one is the greater and other is the lesser. Okay, these are two divided by ischial spine. Okay, here we are seeing the iliac spine, this is the iliac spine and this is the ischial spine. Okay, because this complete thing is ilium and this complete thing is ischium. Okay, and this particular thing is pubis. So the parts which are coming in this particular region will be called as pubic parts. So this is a pubic tubercle, or here we can see pubic ramus. This triangle shaped part is called pubic ramus, and the arcuate line which is passing from here to pubic part, which is arising at auricular surface. So this is the auricular surface. From here we are getting the line which is passing till the pubis, and here we are having the pubic symphysis, which will be the joining part of another pelvis, the right side one. Okay, and ischiopubic ramus is this one, connecting bone between the pubis and the ischium is called ischiopubic ramus. So these are the various parts of pelvis, and let's proceed further, and let's see what are the differences between male and female. Sexual differences between male and female by using the pubis, ischiopubic ramus and the ilium. So first let's see the subpubic angle of male. So subpubic angle of male is between 70 to 75 degrees. Okay, I'm writing 70 only here, and next we are having 90 degrees to 100 degrees for male. Basically it is more narrower in males. So this one is male, if I am mistaken, don't get confused. This one is male, this is narrow up to 70 degrees, and this one is female and it is broader and it is for female. Okay, so the broad pubic body can be seen. So see this one, this all area is of pubic and it is broad for females, and this region is also of pubic which is for males. Okay, this is the difference between male and female. It is narrow here, it is broad here. So that is what the difference. Then obturator foramen, so the hole which is seen here or here, so in certain angle if we are observing it, it is large oval base upwards. So it is large, okay, and oval and base to upwards. So this is the upward direction according to this angle. So from which view we are seeing, that is a kind of different thing, and this is forward. Okay, that is upward and this is forward, and it is small and triangular in shape. Okay, so these are the two differences, and here we have already seen the pubic region is narrow and triangular in males and it is broader and square in shape. So both are again same. Here female, here we can see the female obturator, and here we can see the male obturator. Then coming to the sciatic notch is narrow in males and it is broad in females. Okay, so this is the prominent difference. And one more important point, preauricular sulcus can be seen. So this is the preauricular sulcus. So very prominent in females and it cannot be seen in the males. So these are the basic important differences between these two pelvis structures. And coming to the sacrum, sacrum is generally large, heavier and narrow in shape for the males, and it is very small and it is broader in the females. This is the important differences which we have to understand. And for the side view, this is the front view, triangular and broader for female. Remember that. For the side view, if we see, it is having less curvature. It is more curvature in last two segments. For females it is abruptly curved. So that is what the difference is. And the sacroiliac articulation, so this particular thing, sacroiliac articulation, this will be called as the thing, and it is larger in size, and at the ventral side larger in size for the males. and it extends up to third segment, but it extends up to only second segment. So this is the second segment, and this is the second segment here, this particular region, it is extending up to third segment in the males. So this is what the difference between male and female pubic, ischiopubic ramus and ilium. Then complete pelvis girdle, if you are learning complete pelvis girdle. So here basically if you see, the angle of subpubic thing is very narrow. Okay, this is very narrow, and this one is very broad. Okay, so broad one is called as female. So here it is not named, so let's name it. This is female and this is male. Then the length from one pelvis to another pelvis forming a hip bone, it is very narrow in males and it is very broad in females, giving the space and facility for the baby to be settled in this particular region. And when baby birth is given, it will be passing through the pelvis girdle, and the space which is required for this passage is required in larger size. That's why the sacrum sacrum size will be, and its shape will be different from the males. So it is highly movable. The sacrum here, coccyx or anything, the tailbone will be highly movable. It is flexible, but for males it is not flexible. It is a completely fixed one. Okay, and the inlet of this particular pelvic girdle, it is a heart shaped. So this is the heart shaped. Okay, and for females it is circular in general. This is circular and higher in size. There is abrupt curvature in between this circular pattern. So this is what the difference. So pelvic cavity is conical and funnel shaped in males, and it is round in shape and broad in shape for the females. Pelvic outlet is smaller and larger in the males. It is smaller, and for females it is larger. Obviously this is the size. And coming to the acetabulum, so this is the acetabulum region, so where our femur will get settled. It's a round bone, so you can see the quite difference is there. Acetabulum is larger in males. It is having a 52 mm of diameter, and for females it is smaller and it is of 46. So this is 46 mm and this is 52 mm. So this is the differences between the pelvic girdles of male and female. Diagnostic indexes of determination of sex. So we can see some basic formulas. Number of times it is asked in UGC NET as well. So ischiopubic index is the index which is measured by parameters of length of pubis, okay, the length of pubis and the length of ischium. So we have seen the lower part, the middle part and the upper part for the pelvis. So the middle part and the lower part, its length will be taken and divided and multiplied with 100, then we will be getting 73 to 94 for males and 91 to 115 for the females. So this is the range in between which we will get. So it is higher in the females. So basically remember, ischiopubic index will be higher in the females. It is between 91 to 115, crossing 100. Okay, basically for females it is less than 90 or between 73 to 94. Sciatic notch index will be measured based on, we have seen the sciatic notch, greater sciatic notch we have seen and the lesser sciatic notch we have seen. Okay, so considering the greater sciatic notch, the width of the sciatic notch and the depth of the sciatic notch, so both are multiplied with 100, we are getting value where in between 4 to 5 for males and 5 to 6 for females. And sternal index, though it is contributing very less for the sex determination, we can consider a, so this is a thigh bone, basically a thigh bone. Okay, it is having three parts. The upper part will be called as manubrium, the middle part is called as sternum, and the lower part will be called as xiphoid process. Okay, xiphoid process is also in a research article it is studied that xiphoid process will be very prominent in males and less prominent in females. That's a different thing. And here considering that length of the manubrium, okay, this length will be divided by the whole length of the sternum and multiplied by 100, where the value will be coming at 46.2 for males and 54.3 for females. So this is quite different. For males it is less and for females it is higher. Corporosal corporobasal index. So this is the breadth of body of first sacral vertebra, and the first sacral vertebra means the sacrum is in such way, it is like this and it is divided into various parts. Okay, so in this various parts, first sacrum part will be taken and its breadth will be measured, and breadth of the base of this sacrum, this breadth and this breadth will be taken, and both will be divided and multiplied. So here we get the values. It is less than 42 and it is more than 42 in both the things. And then we can see sacral index, transverse diameter of base of the sacrum, anterior length of the sacrum, both are divided and multiplied, then we get more or less of 114 as value. So these are various important points for sex determination. Whatever we have learned it here, we have learned by taking the diagram as the example. Very less knowledge you will get from this. So basically, if this knowledge is required, and many more important points need to be learned by referring the books. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you have understood the concepts related to sex determination, considering the bones like skull, pelvis, and we have not covered long bones, etc. Those are not into very importance. 92% of skull, 95% of pelvis, very important, or this two combination is very important, and whole skeletal body is also studied. Thank you for watching this video.